What are you doing? Stop it. What I'm about to say will make you question everything you think you know about love, dating, and how guys think. Some of you will not like it, that's for sure. No one talks about this truth because it's controversial. People may tell you to be mysterious or play hard to get, but evolutionary psychology has already shown exactly what happens in a man's brain when he knows you're the one. This isn't another feel-good idea. This is based on real behavioral psychology. Studies, genetic biology, and visible trends that have been stable across societies for thousands of years. What experts have found will shock you. When a man falls strongly in love, his behavior becomes as predictable as gravity. But here's where it gets troubling. Most women miss these signs totally. They're so busy looking for obvious statements of love that they miss the basic signs screaming right in front of them. Meanwhile, the men who are truly obsessed with them are showing behaviors so constant, so rooted in our genetic wiring that missing them is like ignoring a bright sign. And here's the part that will make you angry. The man you think is playing games might actually be showing you the deepest form of love. His nerve system knows how to show. While the man telling you exactly what you want to hear, his actions would probably show he's barely emotionally involved at all. Ready to have everything you thought you knew about male desire totally destroyed. These 6 patterns work below the level of mental thought. They're not methods he's picking. They're automatic reactions built into his DNA when it meets someone who threatens to totally reorganize his emotional world. Think of them as mental marks. Just as no two people have the same physical fingerprints, these psychological patterns are so unique, so deeply rooted in our genetic code that they can't be faked. Warning, once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. And you'll realize how many truly interested guys you may have missed while chasing the wrong signs completely. Let's study the facts. 1. The mirror effect. When his brain syncs with yours. Here's something that will blow your mind. Neuroscientists have found that when humans feel deep emotional connection, our brains begin copying each other's neural patterns. This isn't just copying behavior. This is real cellular harmony. You've probably heard of reflection in basic body language. But what experts have found goes so much deeper. It's almost magical. When a man is emotionally drawn to you, his mind doesn't just sync with your movements, it syncs with your full emotional energy. And here's the shocking part. Most relationship experts won't tell you this. Mirroring is so unconscious, so automatic, that men who experience it often feel like they're losing control around certain women. If you've ever had a guy pull back quickly after deep connection, this might be why his nervous system is actually rebuilding itself to match yours. And it goes against everything he's been taught about staying in charge. Here's how the sensing works. Within days of real emotional love, his brain starts adopting your conversation habits, energy levels, even your sleep rhythms. It's not a show. It's not manipulation. It's neuroscience. His mirror neurons fire so strongly they cause what experts call emotional contagion. But here's what makes this finding unique. Men only mimic women they unconsciously know as possible life partners. Not every woman prompts this reaction. Not even most women. Which means if you're seeing this trend, you're watching something extraordinarily rare. Watch for these exact signs. He starts using your specific words or statements easily. His writing style changes to match your energy and pace. His speech tone changes to your frequency during talks. He subconsciously matches your stance within seconds. His mood changes happen quickly after yours, even when he doesn't know why. The most telling sign, emotional mirroring. When you're sad, does he suddenly become thoughtful, even if he doesn't understand why? When you're excited about something random, does his energy spike too? That's not just pity. That's biological harmony. But here's the truth that will make some of you nervous. This amount of reflection only happens when a man's basic brain sees you as genetically suitable. It's not about how beautiful you are or how nice you are. It's about something much deeper. Pheromones, matching marks, recognition systems we're only starting to understand. And here's why this scares most guys. When this sync happens, they lose the ability to play it cool. Their mental state becomes linked with yours. Their nerve system starts working on your frequency. For guys who've been conditioned to stay mentally independent, this feels like losing themselves. So if you've ever wondered why some guys pull back right after amazing bond, now you know. It's not that they don't like you. It's that they like you so much their brain is literally reorganizing around you, and they don't know how to handle it. The mirror effect doesn't lie. Anyone can fake interest for a few dates, but you can't fake unconscious brain rhythm. When you see this pattern, you're not just seeing desire. You're seeing molecular recognition at the deepest possible level. Selective weakness, the trust test technique. One of the most mistaken habits in guys who are quietly falling for someone is what psychologists call selective sensitivity. It's not that he suddenly opens up about everything or lets out his feelings like in a love movie. No, it's much more smart and far more telling. When a man is crazy about you, he doesn't just hand over his heart. Instead, he offers small pieces of it carefully, wisely, and only when he feels mental safety. He'll tell certain facts about his past, maybe something personal that not many people know, or share a fear he usually keeps hidden. This isn't random emotional dumping. It's evolutionary psychology in motion. These selected times are what experts call trust studies, psychological tests to see how you'll react. And if you pass that mental test, he starts letting you into his inner world, one carefully picked piece at a time. What makes this so strong is that guys are biologically wired to protect their emotional weaknesses. For thousands of years, showing weakness could mean death or abandonment. So when a man shares a vulnerable part of himself with you, it's not casual. It's one of the best signs that he trusts you and wants something deeper than surface-level relationship. You might notice this in minor ways. He'll say how a past loss affected him more than he admits openly. He'll share a family relationship that shaped him. He'll show a fear he usually covers with confidence. He'll talk about a dream he's afraid others would judge. These are emotional gold mines because he's not sharing them for pity. He's sharing them to gauge your emotional intelligence and kindness. He's watching. Do you dismiss it? Do you change the subject? Or do you lean in, listen, and make him feel truly seen? Selective vulnerability also shows up in behavioral changes. Maybe he's the confident guy in every room, always making jokes, always in control until he's alone with you. That's when you see the quieter version of him, the one who talks about his inner thoughts, his doubts, his true self. Here's the genetic catch. He may not even talk about love directly, but the fact that he trusts you with his raw self is his way of showing love. This action isn't something guys plan. It's natural. When he starts falling for you, his brain naturally searches for ways to form stronger emotional bonds. Instead of admitting feelings directly, he'll open a small mental door and see if you walk through it. If you do, he opens another one. If you don't, he closes it just as quickly, and you may never get that access again. The rarity factor is important here. Men don't do this with just anyone. You'll often hear words like, "I've never told anyone that before," or "I don't usually talk about this stuff." When you hear that, pay attention. That's not small talk. That's heart level change happening in real time. So, if you notice him confiding in you, especially about things that make him feel open, know that this isn't accidental. It's emotional closeness building. It's his way of letting you in without him to say, "I'm falling for you." Because in his genetic programming, deeds speak louder than words. 3. Deliberate attention. The memory palace effect. Have you ever stated something completely random? Maybe how you hate when people chew loudly. Your childhood fear of bugs, or that you always eat pizza crust first, and then weeks later he brings it up like it just happened. That's not chance. That's what I call careful attention. And it's one of the strongest psychological signs a man is deeply involved in you. Here's what's going in his brain. When a man is truly attracted to someone, his attention becomes carefully laser-focused on that person. Neuroscientists call this attentional bias. His brain literally prioritizes understanding information about you over almost everything else. He starts collecting information about you like a detective building a case. Not just the obvious things, but the tiny details. The way you scrunch your nose when you're thinking, how your voice changes when you talk about your family, the specific way you order your thoughts when you're stressed. This isn't him trying to be amazing. This is evolutionary biology. For thousands of years, giving close attention to a possible mate's tastes, habits, and wants was crucial for survival and breeding. Men who could anticipate their partner's wants were more likely to keep strong, long-term ties. The current version is interesting. He knows your odd food tastes and offers places accordingly. He sees your mood trends and checks in during times you usually feel low. He remembers things you told weeks ago and mentions them easily. He picks up on your unspoken needs and addresses them without being asked. But here's what makes this behavior so telling. Most people's attention is divided. We live in a world of constant distractions where information comes and goes without sticking. But when a man's brain sees you as important, you become what scientists call his core special interest. Your sound cuts through all other noise. Your stories get saved in his long-term memory while other talks fade. Your tastes get saved in what experts call his relationship memory palace, a brain place reserved only for information about people who matter deeply. The strategy aspect is in the application. He doesn't just remember things to show off his memory. He uses this saved information to create times of bonding. Maybe you mentioned feeling nervous about a work presentation, and weeks later, he texts you exactly when that presentation is happening. Or you casually said you love sunflowers, and he sends you a shot when he randomly sees them. These aren't big acts. They're pinpoint hits to your inner center. They show he's not just hearing you, he's studying you. He wants to become skilled in the language of who you are. And in a world where most people barely listen to react, this level of care feels almost surreal. The natural truth. A man who's slightly interested might remember your job or your favorite color. But a man who's personally involved, he'll remember the story behind why that color became your favorite. And he'll notice when you seem to avoid it on days you're feeling down. That's the difference between top-level attractiveness and deep psychological commitment. And once you notice smart care, you'll never settle for anything less. For body language that reveals him. The sympathetic nerve system says all. You can learn more about what a man truly feels by watching what his body does automatically than by listening to any words he might say. While words can be filtered and managed, body language is ruled by the autonomic nerve system, and it never lies. When a man is truly drawn to you, his body starts showing what experts call approach behaviors, automatic physical reactions that signal deep interest and mental investment. First, watch his direction and closeness trends. When you're in any place, a room, a restaurant, a group meeting, his body will automatically turn toward you like a compass pointing north. His feet pointing your way, even when he's talking to someone else. His body turns toward you. His attention keeps wandering back to your spot. This happens because the human body automatically goes toward what it sees as important or wanted. It's a natural reaction. We physically gravitate toward things that matter to our life or reproduction. Proximity is equally telling. Men who are emotionally neutral keep what psychologists call social space, the nice space we keep with friends. But when a guy is drawn, his body tries to close that gap. He'll stand just a little closer than necessary. He'll find reasons to sit beside you rather than across from you. He'll lean in during talks. This isn't conscious action. It's his nerve system reacting to what it sees as a magnetic pull. Then there are the tiny tweaks. Watch what happens to his stance when you appear. Does he straighten his spine? Adjust his clothing? Run a hand through his hair? These are unconscious training habits, and they're as old as humanity itself. His body is trying to show its best version before he even knows you're there. Eye contact patterns show everything. A man who's truly interested doesn't just make eye contact during straight talk. His eyes seek yours across rooms. You'll catch him glancing at you when he thinks you're not looking. During group talks, his gaze keeps returning to you even when others are speaking. Most tellingly, watch what happens when your eyes meet suddenly. Does he hold the gaze? Does his face soften? Does he smile involuntarily? That moment of open link before his conscious mind can meddle, that's where the truth lives. The hands tell. Stories too. Nervous energy has to go somewhere. A man who's emotionally engaged around you might play with his rings, tap his fingers, or touch his neck more than normal. These aren't signs of pain. They're signs of mental excitement. Being near you literally changes his nerve system. But perhaps the most honest signal of all is the spontaneous smile. Not the nice social smile or the charming smile he uses to impress. I'm talking about that soft, unconscious smile that shows when he watches. You laugh when you walk into a room, or when you're not even looking at him. It's brief, open, and totally real. That smile happens when his emotional center reacts before his logical mind can control the reaction. If you catch it, you're seeing his heart respond in real time. The beautiful truth about body language. While his words might be careful, controlled, or strategic, his body is having an honest talk with you every moment you're together. His sympathetic nervous system is sharing his real thoughts through 1,000 tiny messages. Learn to read this language and you'll never have to wonder how he really feels again. Testing for emotional safety. The susceptibility tuning method. One of the most minor yet telling actions happens when a man starts what I call emotional safety checking. This isn't trickery or game playing. It's his psychological system's way of determining whether you are mentally safe enough for deeper involvement. Here's what's going beneath the surface. When a man starts to form real feelings, his brain faces an evolutionary challenge. Opening up personally has generally been risky for men. Showing weakness could mean loss of position, resources, or safety. So, his mind builds a measuring method to test the waves before going deep. These tests often look confusing from the outside. He might share something slightly more personal than normal and carefully watch your response. He may voice an unpopular view or reveal a small fear, not to shock you, but to gauge your reaction. Will you judge him, dismiss him, or will you meet his weakness with acceptance? Sometimes the testing looks like mood changes. He might be slightly more quiet, thoughtful, or even a bit edgy around you, showing you versions of himself beyond the polished, always positive image. This isn't him losing interest. It's him saying, "Can you handle me when I'm not performing? When I'm just human?" The inner psychology is interesting. Men are often conditioned to think their worth comes from what they provide. Resources, answers, strength, fund. But when a man starts falling in love, he begins wanting something more dangerous. Acceptance for who he actually is, not just what he can give. So he starts revealing layers. Maybe he'll mention a past mistake and watch how you react. Does your respect for him diminish? Do you offer unwanted advice, or do you simply listen and accept that he's human? These emotional safety tests also show in how he responds to your limits. He might push softly, not to disrespect you, but to see if you'll protect yourself. Because a man who wants something real needs to know, can I trust your strength? Will you keep your own personal integrity? A woman who can't protect herself mentally can't protect a relationship either. The development is usually slow. First, he tests with low-stakes weakness, maybe saying he's scared about something or sharing a past embarrassment. If you pass that test with kindness and non-judgment, he might share something deeper. If you handle that well, the layers continue peeling back. What he's really asking through these tests. If I show you my doubts, will you lose respect for me? If I'm not always strong and in control, will you still want me? If I trust you with my true self, will you respect that trust or use it against me? The beautiful part about this process. When you constantly meet his small weaknesses with acceptance, you're not just winning his trust. You're helping him learn that emotional closeness can be safe. Many guys have never experienced this kind of mental comfort. So they slowly, carefully, one layer at a time. Your answer to these tests matters greatly. If you meet his times of sensitivity with criticism, advice giving, or emotional withdrawal, he learns that you're not safe for his deeper self. But if you react with presence, acceptance, and gentle curiosity, you're showing him that closeness with you feels safe. This isn't about passing or failing. It's about mental connection. When his tests feel natural to respond to with kindness, and when your answers help him feel more safe rather than more guarded, that's when you know you found real emotional rapport. 6. Stability over time. The stability method. When a man is truly crazy about you, there's one behavior that outweighs every grand move, every love word, every passionate moment. Unwavering steadiness over time. Here's why this matters more than everything else combined. Anyone can show up strongly for a few weeks. Almost anyone can be charming, attentive, and exciting when everything is new and feelings are running high. But what separates genuine emotional commitment from surface level appeal is whether his effort stays steady when the original thrill settles into real life. Consistency is how the male brain shows dedication to itself. Evolutionary psychology tells us that men have historically needed to be certain about their financial choices. Resources, time, energy, mental involvement were scarce and valuable. So when a man's mind decides that someone is worth regular effort, it's making a deep biological statement. This shows up in fairly subtle ways. Real stability isn't about big acts or steady contact. It's about trust in the small things. If he says he'll call, he calls. If he makes plans, he keeps them. If he sees you're having a stressful week, he checks in without being asked. You don't have to tell him, chase him, or wonder about his goals because he makes them clear through steady, regular actions. Here's what stability actually looks like. It's the morning text that comes not because he's bored or wants something, but because thinking of you has something become part of his daily routine. It's him remembering to ask about things that matter to you, not just once, but constantly. It's his energy staying solid toward you, whether he's having a great day or a bad one. Most importantly, it's mental stability. He doesn't run hot and cold mentally. He doesn't hide when life gets difficult, then return expecting things to continue regularly. If something's bothering him, he talks about it rather than disappearing strangely. If something's hurting he sees and shows up for that talk. The genetic importance is deep. When a man keeps constant behavior toward a woman across time and varied situations, his brain is basically saying, this person is worth stable investment regardless of external conditions. That's the psychological basis of long-term pair bonds. But here's what makes stability so rare and valuable. In our current society of endless choices and quick satisfaction, keeping steady effort takes significant psychological commitment. It means choosing to invest in one person when hundreds of other choices are possibly open. It means valuing relationship building over surprise wanting. Consistency also creates mental safety for both people. When you can expect that his care for you will be solid, not perfect, but predictable, your nervous system learns to relax around him. You stop living in fight or flight mode, wondering if today will be the day he pulls away or loses interest. And for him, steadiness becomes its own prize. Each day he chooses to show up for you. His brain encourages the nerve paths that recognize you as important. Consistency doesn't just show love. It actually builds love. The truth about regularity versus passion. Many people mistake emotional energy for deep relationship. They think the highs and lows, the drama and confusion, the emotional roller coasters mean passionate love. But psychology study shows the opposite. Real bond builds through reliable, safe, steady relationship. Over time, the man who creates butterflies through inconsistency might feel exciting, but the man who creates calmness through stability, he's the one whose nervous system recognizes you as home. That's the kind of love that lasts. That's the kind of odd love that grows. That's the kind of love worth recognizing and choosing. Here's the deep fact that changes everything. You now possess something most people will spend their entire lives looking for. The skill to spot true emotional interest when you see it. These 6 trends aren't just dating tips. They're genetic rules written into human mind across thousands of years. But here's the awkward truth check. Most women ignore these signs. Why? Because real love doesn't feel like a roller ride. It doesn't give you that addictive high of doubt that our society has taught us to connect with desire. Real love feels steady, safe, sometimes even calm at first. And in a world hooked to drama, we often mistake peace for boredom. The study shows something terrible. Women consistently choose emotionally absent men over those showing real signs of deep connection. We are actually trained to reject the very love we say we want. But with this knowledge comes a decision that will shape your entire love future. Will you continue chasing guys whose attention comes and goes like the weather? Men whose mixed signs keep you emotionally hooked, but relationally starved? Or will you become one of the rare women who notice these 6 patterns as biology's way of leading you toward your person? Here's what happens when you choose right. You stop being a detective in your own love story and become the author. You stop questioning your worth and start asking why you ever doubted it. You stop taking bits of attention and start expecting the full feast of real care. The world works on a strange fairness. The moment you truly understand these patterns, you stop badly needing them. You begin attracting the kind of love that doesn't require constant analysis. Because when someone is truly meant for you, their feelings don't hide in psychological tricks. They show themselves in the steady beat of constant commitment. This is your freedom. This is your update. This is your love change. Remember, real love doesn't make you nervous. It makes you calm. It doesn't make you question everything. It makes everything finally make sense. It doesn't leave you thinking. It leaves you knowing. The man who is truly crazy about you won't leave you interpreting mixed messages. He'll leave you totally, definitely, peacefully certain. And that confidence, that's the only love worth having. That's the only love worth being. Share this with every woman who deserves to know the difference. Because somewhere out there, the right man is already showing these patterns, waiting for her to finally notice them and choose properly.